Good evening, everybody. Welcome to, I guess we're calling it Willow's Debates. Tonight, we're talking about one of the big debates in theme park stuff. Is Disneyland better than Walt Disney World, or Walt Disney World better than Disneyland? We're going to talk about it tonight. So I am excited. This is a fun one. I get asked this a lot, and I decided it'd be good to not do this one alone. So I brought in a couple people that, if you've watched the channel, you have probably seen them around, and that would be my son, which I don't know what he was just doing there,
Don't worry.
and Craig. So this is going to be quite interesting. They have both been to Disneyland and Disney World with me, in fact. So we think it'll be a lot of fun. And my daughter's sneaking up on the side with the cat. Do we want a cat? Oh, hi. Hello, Turtle.
Hey, Turtle.
But excited to do this. So I'm trying to keep it a little organized. Brendan, I thought this was supposed to be Park Tales. Yeah, I don't have the Park Tales deal, and this is more an opinion thing anyway. So I think it goes with the news and views. So in an effort to attempt to keep us on track, I've got kind of a guideline here with Disneyland versus Walt Disney World. So we're going to jump into this. There's a bunch of different categories. There's going to kind of to talk about. We'll compare the food, the entertainment, the lodging, the characters, the attractions, the intangibles, and that just kind of means everything else. And we're going to see. So I don't know. So Craig, Joseph, anything you want to open up with here?
I have a question.
Okay.
And it's not really related, but I feel like it's important. And the question is, do you notice anything strange about my camera?
About your camera?
Yes. Or about the video that is coming through.
About the video? Okay, he's probably
other than
there is.
No, not that.
And your key light seems to be kind of far to your right, but I'm not sure that's really your camera.
Okay.
I don't know. Your sound seems to be a little bit muffled all of a sudden, though. So.
Oh no, it's not that either. No, I'm using a thing that, like right now, wait 1 second.
Yeah, Megan's like a Joseph background. I know it's all his multiple personalities.
Right now, okay, not anymore. But periodically, like right now, I am not actually looking at the camera.
Oh, you're using that autocorrect thing.
Yeah.
Your eyeballs around. Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird. Like right now, I'm not looking at the camera either.
All right.
But if
anyway,
I am. Okay, anyway.
You're going to get weird stuff with Joseph here.
I'll also say hi to everybody saying hello.
Hello.
Credential-wise, I wanted to throw out that even though I've never lived in the same state of any of the parks, I've been to Disney World 36 times, Disneyland 12 times, and Disneyland Paris twice, none of the Asia parks. So
I don't think I have that many
credentials.
credentials.
A little toward Disney World because I've been there more, but let's see how that pans out.
Okay, so I think I got you beat on Disney World, but you definitely got me beat on Disneyland. And once more at Paris. So
double your Paris visits.
Yeah, I know. Although I don't know how many days you spend in Paris. I might have caught up with that. So, Caroline, are those separate trips? No, it was one gigantic long trip.
12 times in a row.
I logged 11 days between the two Paris trips.
Okay, so yeah, about each time then would have been about the same length as mine. So,
now that was only the Disneyland parts, though.
George, I dare you to sing and send Craig crazy. He's already there. So,
well, that's true. Okay.
All right. So let's try then and hit our first category, the food. And this will probably be a little bit more Craig's area than mine, I think, because Craig, you've actually eaten at every reservation restaurant at Disney World. Is that correct?
Every table service restaurant at Disneyland. Wow. And all the ones in the parks at Disney World that are currently operating. and many of the resort hotels.
Yeah.
The one at Disneyland, I haven't been at Trader Sam's Grog Grotto, and the new Japanese place, I had reservations before the pandemic at Takimi Tai, or however it's pronounced. Amber could probably correct that, but then it closed and hasn't reopened yet. So
Unfortunate.
So yep. So Craig is the foodie here, but we've got some interesting stories though. And Judy's already chiming in. Food, Disney World.
So favorite in-park table service restaurant is Disney World and Tiffin's. I like the atmosphere at
Which
Blue
one is
Bayou.
Tiffin's again?
That's the one at Animal Kingdom.
Is that
you ate
the
there.
one with the chicken waffles that I
Yes,
had?
where you ate chicken and waffles.
That was the best chicken
Tiffin.
waffles I've ever had in my life. It's so good. No
So
regrets.
I will say I like Blue Bayou a little better, the Paris version of it. Just a little more interesting atmosphere. And then counter service, we also stay right next to Tiffin's, and we really like Satuli Canteen. I like their tofu bowls. I think they're fun. I like being able to mix and match sauces. So some of our favorite places are there. Now, looking at the comments, I enjoy Earl of Sandwich. I enjoy their Earl Grey lemonade. We've eaten there several times.
I guess my thing I've noticed, because we eat cheap, so we do a lot more counter service, unless other people are splurging for us. But I've noticed that the counter service at Disney World has definitely gone down quality. Some the burgers are the same. Disneyland I haven't noticed as much, but there were we ate at the Mexico Pavilion, the outdoor restaurant. It changes names fairly regular, and it just was not the same as it had been last time we were there, which was really a disappointment. At Disneyland, Joseph had an experience that shocked the stuffing out of all of us.
Wait, what are we talking about?
California Adventure. You ordered, was it the Chinese vegetables?
Oh,
okay. Yeah. If you don't know, Joseph doesn't eat vegetables at all.
I'm branching out.
And he polished his plate off. Every bit of it.
I was just going to say that California Adventure, I do like that they have cheese on a stick corn dog style. So I enjoy that. And we also usually, if we go to Disneyland, we try to get in one meal a year at Napa Rose. And we really like Napa Rose. We've been there a lot more times than we have to Victoria and Albert's. V&A, we've only gone to once. So for top tier dining, I like the slightly more casual where I can get away with jeans and a polo shirt and don't have to pack a suit coat to go to a dinner that costs twice as much as Napa Rose, which is already pretty pricey.
Yeah. So, okay, for me, just the counter service, like I said, is where I tend to lean. I like the skewers in Adventureland at Disneyland.
Those are good.
Those are really good. We found the counter quality at Disneyland a little bit better than Disney World. Disney World, though, has a bigger variety of restaurants. I kind of lean towards Disneyland a little bit. Joseph, do you even remember?
I remember, but, well, sort of. Okay, so Blue Bayou had the coolest ambience ever, but I don't know if that's a fair way for me to evaluate a restaurant because I really don't remember the food, if I'm being honest.
You eat with your eyes first, though, and I think ambiance is important to enjoying the overall experience.
I just want to go there and just sit and hang out like all day, and I don't think they'd let me. But the food at the the PIMS lab themed place. The food itself was, I remember it being all right. Like I enjoyed it, but I was just fascinated by just the theme of having giant food and tiny food. I loved it.
Well, and we like the shawarma cart that was next to Pim's.
Oh yeah.
And
Did we
it
get a chance
was
to try that?
surprisingly good. And Elizabeth got the Avengers logo style shawarma shirt. So
Ooh.
she was just wearing it 2 days ago.
I will say the shawarma place at Disneyland actually really surprised me. Having been in Israel, having eaten authentic shawarma, it was really good. I was very impressed by it.
Well, and to that end, I would say some of the bread services that they have at Sanaa at Animal Kingdom Lodge were spot on with what we had in Nairobi when we went to Kenya. And I pointed out to Elizabeth, hey, those dips, it's like we've had before. And so,
Megan,
for something along those lines.
But get to Disneyland, I want to try the shawarma and also a mint julep. Okay, the mint juleps are amazing.
I don't think I've
They are
tried
good.
either of those.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how that changes with Tiana's and improves changes or just different theming.
So Joseph, Blue Bayou, the mint drink that we had at the Blue Bayou dinner that we went through 2 pitchers, that was the mint juleps.
Wait, that I have not remembered anything about that until this very moment. That memory just got unearthed in my brain.
They are amazing. We haven't found a recipe that's really
totally forgot about it.
Yeah. So what would you say? Disneyland, Disney World, toss up.
So I didn't say anything about Disney World because the only real significant food I remember at Disney World is the chicken and waffles. But that was also the best chicken and waffles I've ever had in my life. So it's a very good argument for that place.
I'm going to go Disneyland, but it's close. I love Bengal barbecue. I already mentioned several of my other favorites, but they're pretty neck and neck.
Was the place where? What was the place at the resort where they you ask for ketchup and every waiter in the whole place brings you a bottle of ketchup?
Cafe at Wilderness Lodge.
Yes, that's Wilderness Lodge, Disney World. I saw a deal that they are changing it to a counter service. It was
I hope that's false.
I do too. I hope that's fake. So, Craig, I just want you to know, Judy says you're wrong.
And what am I wrong about?
The world may never know.
A little bit better than Disney World.
See, the other thing
in person this summer.
Other thing in Disneyland's favor about theming for food is I still have my chicken tender bucket from there that is just a mouse droid, and I love it.
Now, that's an interesting point. I think popcorn refills are better at Disney World because we really like the maple popcorn at the Canada Pavilion, and I hope they bring back the tri-flavors outside of the Imagination Pavilion, as well as just regular buttered popcorn. So there's better Disney crack corn at Disney World. At least there used to be.
Okay, so we're kind of toss up. Edge,
my memory
Disneyland, but
my memory of the food is better at Disney World, but my memory of the experience is better at Disneyland.
So we've got an important question in there about Dole Whip.
Yeah. Hey, got a question about the Dole Whip. Okay, what, Mr.
I'll remember.
What about it? So we'll be watching the question.
That is the question. What about the Dole Whip?
What about the Dole Whip? The Dole Whip is amazing. You can't go to Disney and not get a Dole Whip, and you haven't really experienced it. And I would almost... Okay, Judy's saying Dole Whip, tiebreaker. Disneyland.
At one point, they gave you little Tajin packets that you could have with your Dole Whip, and that was kind of fun.
I do have one argument in favor of Disney World, though. Disneyland does not offer the Beverly.
Okay.
The best drink of all time. Fair. That everyone has to try.
If you don't know what we're talking about with the Beverly, you just need to go try it. All right. Entertainment at the parks. And this is interesting after all the COVID stuff, too. This is still kind of evolving a little bit. Which park has the better entertainment?
Are we talking about all forms or
Yep.
just like shows?
Street performers, shows,
So like the
parades.
attractions, do they count?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
So
Okay, so let's say Phantasmic. Who has the better version of Phantasmic?
Well, for quite a while it was Disneyland's because Disney World hadn't reopened yet.
Disneyland does
I
theirs
haven't seen
over
the newest version at the World, so I can't say for sure, but I do like having seats.
The seats are nice, but the show is better at Disneyland. They got the
However-
real steamship, not a fake
Okay, that's
model.
what I was thinking.
Better dragon. Oh my goodness, much better dragon.
Definitely, yeah. When Murphy's working, it's a much better dragon.
Yeah. And Caroline's asking, do characters count? We'll come to the characters in a little bit. I do have them on the list there. Also, there's nothing there right now, but California Adventure has the Hyperion Theater, which always has amazing productions.
Yeah.
With Frozen and then Aladdin.
Yeah, the Frozen was better, I think, in Disneyland than World, if I remember right.
Mhm.
Is that what we decided? I think so. At least the set was way better. Well, actually, we're comparing it to the sing along.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yes.
you're comparing the stage
But-
show to the sing along.
But
Yeah,
the
so I guess it's
sing-along
like-
is it's amazing. It's wonderful. It's nobody likes sitting near me in it. I don't know why.
Can't you imagine?
And there we go. That was the biggest problem the last time I went to the sing along.
Yeah.
Not enough barrier people. To,
Disneyland's Frozen was actually maybe that's too spicy of a take. I'll put that back away.
Disney, the Fantasyland Theater with Mickey and the Magic Map was a great show. I didn't feel like Disneyland shows at any point kind of dumbed down things, but Walt Disney World has Nemo, although they've condensed it now.
and I haven't seen the new version of that yet either. So
I've seen
I
a
am-
video of it, and
I loved the version 1 of Nemo.
yes, I did too. Addie mentions, don't think anything compares to the Citizens of Hollywood Studios. Disney California Adventure has their own group with Citizens of Hollywood. They've got their own version doing similar things. They were actually back before Hollywood Studios. Hollywood Studios hasn't brought theirs back yet, but they are back at California Adventure already.
I think the Jameters are a lot of fun at Epcot.
Mm-hmm.
Blood, Sweat, and Shears.
I miss Blood, Sweat, and Shears. They put on one of the best shows I saw for New Year's Eve.
And Hyperspace Hoopla, if we're including old stuff.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. But
So,
that one you can't see anymore.
well,
and-
but you can't see some of the stuff at the Hyperion Theater right now either. So
Yes.
if
So
we're considering
it's-
those,
Are we including fireworks too?
Yep. Yeah, I would put fireworks in there.
Because the whole what is it? The Not So Scary at Disney World. Although I don't think did. We do the one at Disneyland?
Yes. Disneyland had a separate show. It was basically adding the lights on. Disneyland had a show, but we didn't have the Halloween event there because it was across the way.
Disney World's was just so big.
Yeah.
Just the whole fireworks show and everything. Just
If you go to
Booty
Not So
Parade
Scary,
was best
Disney
parade.
World's version of the
Either
Booty
go.
You Parade is much better than Disneyland's. It's longer. World of Color, though, is at Disneyland, not World. So,
World of Color is fun, but I strongly prefer Phantasmic, and I think I liked most of Illuminations over World of Color. Even though World of Color is pretty, it doesn't have as many super moving, memorable moments for me.
it's certainly better, though, than what Animal Kingdom has attempted.
Well,
Yeah.
3 out of 4 ain't bad.
Let's see. So, Epcot. So, you've seen Epcot Forever. Epcot Forever or World of Color?
which one is either of those? It's been a
So,
long time.
Craig has seen, I
I
have not seen
love
Epcot Forever.
Concept of Epcot Forever, I think they would have done better if they weren't using children's voices for all of the vocals.
Mm.
So I like it, but I would have preferred the original songs instead of the version they're using.
Mhm.
I also find it super ironic that they keep bringing Epcot Forever back temporarily.
Yeah.
So between those
forever for a
two,
limited time.
Carolyn's asking about parades. So we kind of have to go
Boo to
past
you.
parades because they still haven't really brought them back. Main Street Electric Parade, you can't really count it either place because it keeps going back and forth.
I like the Paint the Night Parade and the kinetic float they had with
Mhm.
all the continually moving LED pieces. That was gorgeous. Mac driving through on there with big screens in him. I thought that was one of the best non-Boo to You parades.
I don't understand why they haven't brought that one back. Spectro at Walt Disney World was great, but then they destroyed the floats. So they need night parades. The night parades have always been really good. The day parades have been kind of hit and miss. I think the version at Magic Kingdom now is better than what it was, but I still kind of miss Disney Dreams Come True. That was a good parade. But I do remember the day parades at Disneyland being better generally than Walt Disney World. So
I think 2 showings of a night parade should definitely come back, so that way you can get the reduced crowds during the early and watch the late.
Yep. Yes. So, what about the trolley ride at Magic Kingdom? So you got the trolley show, of course. Hey, that was my specialty because I did the whole trolley show.
I would love to have that back as long as you weren't singing it.
No, I didn't sing. I just danced. I so wish there. Way back when I worked there, early days of YouTube, there was actually a video somebody posted I saw that you could see me dancing in the background, and I didn't download it, and it's gone. I'm like, oh, I should. But so again, probably a toss up on entertainment.
Yeah, it's.
Do we count Star Wars weekends as entertainment?
Yeah, but it doesn't happen anymore. It hasn't happened in years. When they announced plans for Galaxy's Edge, Star Wars weekends, bye-bye.
That's sad.
Yeah, if we're only going current entertainment as of right now, I'd say it's a toss-up.
Yeah. All right. So there's our entertainment. So we're kind of at a toss-up right now. Lodging.
Oh, yeah.
Here, they're very different. Very different. So Disney World has all of the Disney resorts. You can stay on property. You're right there. Mm-hmm. Disneyland has only a couple resorts, only one really even attached to the property. But it has all these other hotels that are right there, and you can walk to the parks versus a 30 or 45-minute trip to get to them.
Sure.
The resorts are better.
And I love the Grand Cal and being able to walk right into the park.
Mm-hmm.
I also love being able to watch the monorails from Contemporary, but you can also do that from the Grand Cal.
Yep.
The variety of resorts and multiple price points are nice, even though they're all expensive at the World. I've never stayed at a moderate resort. I've stayed at Value, Deluxe, and DVC properties. So I can't say anything about the moderates, but they don't really have any moderates unless you want to bend on Paradise Pier.
There's also the Star Wars Hotel now.
Good point. I'm hoping to get there next year.
Oh.
So I can't.
I mean, it's like $4,000 now.
If you've got the budget, Disney's got the themed resorts on property with all the transportation covered. If you're wanting to budget your stays a little bit more, Disneyland is better because there's more lower cost hotels right around the park and you can walk.
Counter argument. If you have no budget, you can just go to the resorts for free and walk around like we did all the time in Disney World.
Yep. Park at Disney Springs. Don't pay a penny to do that. Hop on the boats there and cruise to a resort, or hop on a bus and go to a resort. And yeah, you could travel all around Disney World and not pay a penny.
Aesthetics, I think I would give the win to Disney World because you can get so many different styles.
Yes.
Disneyland Hotel, it does have Disney flares to it, but it's not that dramatic of a difference. Whereas at the World, you can look at Animal Kingdom Lodge, Wilderness Lodge, the
Yeah.
Grand Canyon Concourse, the Contemporary, and Poly, and you can get all kinds of different styles and have a lot of fun just walking around and or dining in any of those.
Shane asks, "What's your opinion of the value resorts?" I stayed at a couple different ones. I stayed at Pop Century, and then All Star, and honestly, they're room quality wise, they are the equivalent of, well, they're a step below like a Holiday Inn Express, Howard Johnson, something like that, but it's on Disney property, and so you pay 3 times the price you would at the other.
I like the oversized decor at the All
Yes.
Stars and Pop. I haven't stayed at Art of Animation. I have stayed at Pop Century, All Star Music, and All Star Movies. And of those, the 3 I've been to, I prefer Pop because I'm just amused by a lot of the different, slogans and things they have along the top of the buildings.
Yep. Abby asks, "Can we talk about all the price points?" So with Disney World, you've got different tiers of hotels, and very simply, what they call a value is like a 2-star hotel at other places. It's just on Disney property, but instead of paying, say, $70-$80 a night, you're going to pay $170 to $240 a night, simply because it's on Disney property. Although they do have very nice cafeterias there and a few other extra features to make it more Disney-esque. If you get up to the deluxe, they start at what, $250 a night, and go up from there.
A really weird consideration. Yeah. So you could get a really cheap hotel in the Florida area, and then just walk and still enjoy the Disney resorts.
Yeah. Now, the one thing, though, and Judy mentions this here, $115 at value, is there are kind of guides on the prices, but if you shop around, work with the official Disney travel agents. And I know that sounds crazy, but you don't pay extra to use them, but they are trained. They will find you prices that are lower. If you have ownership of a timeshare, there are ways to cash in points and get to stay at a higher value Disney resort for less. So there are ways to work around that.
Rack rates, according to Mouse Savers, All-Star Movies, value season, so January 8th was $128 for a standard view. Caribbean Beach, same day, same season, $258. And Wilderness Lodge, one of the cheaper deluxes, started at $458.
Okay. So that gives you an idea of prices, and it will vary depending upon the package you buy, the time of year, how busy they are, and things like that. So it's hard to say just one price because it will vary widely depending upon how you book.
And then if you're interested in doing so and accepting some risk, you can also try renting points from a DVC member. And there are certain websites that will broker the exchange, and that can be a good way to save significantly off of Disney's rate and still stay on property.
Yeah. And Disney has done a few things with the transportation. The Skyliners helped some. So your lodging at Disney World will be better, but you're going to pay more for it. But at the same time, Disneyland, it's cheaper, it's more convenient to the park, but it's cheaper.
Do we count cruise ships as lodging?
No, because it's not parked at Disney World.
But you have a room and you sleep in it.
Yeah, but we're just comparing Disney World to Disneyland. So, like I said, Disneyland has a lot more cheap options around the park other than just Disney lodging. Disney World, if you're really going to go to Disney World, you're going to be staying on property. You'll pay more for it, but you'll have the transportation covered in Disney services and stuff. I like the convenience of Disney World, but it's nicer to stay at I like the convenience of Disneyland, but it's nicer to stay at Disney World.
Now, I will say it's a toss-up for me sometimes. I like if I'm park hopping or just heading back to the resort to have the short bus trip or,
Mhm.
monorail ride or whatever the case may be to get off feet for a little bit and plan something, maybe quickly check email or something like that. But at Disneyland, especially if you're staying right by the Esplanade, you can just head back to your room for a little while and take a nap. So,
It it is much more convenient at Disneyland.
right.
I always get a place. Last time I was there in September was actually the furthest I'd stayed from the park. I was happy I had the scooter because it made it. It was about 15 minutes. It still took less time for me on my scooter to get from my hotel room on the far side of the park all the way around to the gate than it would have from any resort at Disney World to get to a gate of the park. So that was nice. I had to plan at least 30 minutes transportation at Disney World.
I
No,
think
I like Tower to Magic Kingdom. That's pretty quick.
Okay, so Contemporary to Magic Kingdom, yeah, that's the one that you can walk. Everything else, though,
And Grand Floridian you can too, now that they've installed and opened the swing bridge.
yeah,
That's
a
a much
long
longer walk. I've done it once.
So,
It's significantly
so
longer.
it kind of depends upon what you want. Do you want cheaper budget, right close to the park? That's Disneyland. If you want to be all inclusive in Disney World, pay a little bit more. It'd be Disney World.
Yep.
I
So-
think my bias is that because I know we only ever spent one day actually in those resorts when we lived in Florida, but I still loved all the resorts, just walking around them, even though I never got to stay in them, just because they're like an attraction all in themselves.
You stayed at Coronado Springs, but then you also had to stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But like the big resorts. So like even if I never stay in the resorts, having them there to walk around and visit and experience is
Yes, and the
worth
Disney
it.
resorts, even the small ones, there's stuff to walk around and see and do. Yeah. So, okay, so leaning Disney World.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So next one, because we're like, whoop, that's the slide I want. There we go. Okay. Characters. This one we shouldn't take too long. Josh does ask, which resorts have the best pools? Disney World, far and away.
Yeah.
Yep, that's an easy one. Okay, so characters. Now, of course, you're going to see the same characters at the parks. Many of them have set locations, but I think the biggest difference here is at Disneyland, a lot of the characters are still free roaming. Disney World, they don't allow them to do that really anymore and haven't in quite a while. It does make it harder to meet them. So when we were at Disneyland, we had a couple times we were chasing down the Queen of Hearts and Cruella de Vil. But those are characters you can't even meet at Disney World. So Disneyland's got more characters. Some of them are harder to meet because they wander as opposed to staying in one place. But Disney World, if you want to actually meet the characters and get pictures, they're a better setup generally. I like Disneyland though. So
I'm going to lean Disneyland as well. I usually don't try to meet and greet the characters, but I like to try and grab a picture of the character when they're in between guests. So
yeah,
try and just watch that moment and
yeah. Caroline asks, face characters can't just walk around Disney World. They don't. They really don't have any characters that just walk around at Disney World. They all have set meeting locations, and they go out, they do their set, they meet the guests, they go back in. They don't free roam at Disney World and haven't since before I was there. So, a long time that they haven't done that, regardless of character, face or fur. So, we found it more fun at Disneyland because they could wander and they could go do things. And if you want to see the difference, the Hayes family with their meet and greets with Malia just have amazing stuff because they can wander and play and do stuff. So it's really neat. But so I go Disneyland on that one. Joseph will probably remember too. That's the one where my sister called me really like weird. Because we saw the Mad Hatter, and my daughter and I were like, oh, the Mad Hatter! And my sister looked at Joseph and said, he does know, doesn't he?
He's not real.
But yeah. Now Megan says, as a planner, you can get anxious. Disney World's nice; they're posted somewhere. And you can. There are still several characters Disneyland that are posted in specific spots. So there are several specific meet and greet locations for some of them, but others just get to wander. So, Titansaurus Rex mentioned Stormtroopers, Kylo Ren, and Rey do free roam at Galaxy's Edge at Disney World. That is very true. Yes, they do. I did forget that.
The other thing about Galaxy's Edge is that since most of the employees, like the cashiers and stuff, have a backstory and everything, they're sort of like characters too.
Galaxy's Edge is kind of different, but that it's also at both coasts.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Six Flags, why is it a different characters at Disneyland? Just I think because it's older. I don't know. They just have more. They have pretty much every character you would see at Disney World, with a couple exceptions. I don't think I've seen Gaston at Disneyland.
I also don't have the Avatar mech.
Yeah. Yeah, so there are a few at Disney World. Divine is at Animal Kingdom, not at Disneyland. So there are definitely some differences. But yeah, I like Disneyland better.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Next one we have after characters is attractions, and this is where we're going to really get into stuff because they're very different here. And they're correcting me here. The Gaston is at Disneyland. Okay. So the attraction.
No, yeah, Kevin. That's another good point.
Yep, Kevin walks around. There's another good one.
The bird?
Yes, the bird walks around Animal Kingdom.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yep. Okay, so Disneyland, it's smaller than Magic Kingdom, but there's so much more in it. So Disneyland has Indiana Jones. It's got Alice in Wonderland, Pinocchio, Mr. Toad, Storybook Land Canal Boats, the Matterhorn, the Casey Jr. train. Goodness, what else am I missing here?
You're thinking of things that are only at Disneyland?
That are only at Disneyland, that aren't at Disney World.
Holiday overlays?
Oh, yeah. The Haunted Nightmare Before Christmas overlay for Haunted Mansion.
Right. Haunted Mansion Holiday and the Christmas overlay at Small World.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't think they've done it recently, but they used to do the Ghost Galaxy and Hyperspace Mountain overlays on Space Mountain.
Caroline Slack mentions Snow White is still at Disneyland.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot in Disneyland. I tell people if you take any two Disney World parks and all the attractions and you combine them, that gives you just Disneyland. At least as far as numbers go. And then California Adventure it's probably close to equivalent of a Disney World park.
I would say that Disneyland Space Mountain is much better than Disney World's or Disneyland Paris's. I love the land's space. I also think that Junkyard Jamboree is a great ride and the closest thing to a whip you're going to find on the West Coast. So,
Haunted Mansion at Disneyland is better. The Pirates, not even close. It's Disneyland.
Oh, yeah.
Not even close. I like Indiana Jones better than Dinosaur. I like Dinosaur, but I think Indiana Jones is better when everything's working.
It's a lot better.
Let's see. Joel mentions, love that Mad Tea Party is uncovered in California. I like that. I like the Small World setup so much better.
It's a lot bigger, isn't it?
What?
Is that the outdoor one?
That's the outdoor one.
Okay. Right, that's what I thought.
Now, I like Carousel of Progress, and that's been moved to Disney World. I also, now that we're at least halfway back to having Figment in the Imagination Pavilion, love seeing him there.
Yep.
We've got Remy's Ratatouille Adventure.
Yes, and that's a great film.
Right, and we've also got the Land of Pandora. So we've got Flight of Passage and now that's Journey.
And the Frozen ride at Epcot, which the animatronic.
It's a toss
Yeah.
up there.
I like Maelstrom, but the animatronics on that ride were like uncanny with how
Yes.
realistic they felt.
And speaking of rear projection faces, beyond the Hatbox Ghost, what about Seven Dwarfs Mine Train?
Mhm.
It's only 90 seconds, but as long as you have a lightning lane for it, it's a fun ride.
Here's Spaceship Earth,
So
Mission
Disney World is
Space.
slowly catching up to Disneyland. Of course, you got Tron opening up.
They still have the Tower of Terror,
Yes.
which I like better than the.
I will say it's better with the multi-access ride vehicles where the cars actually roll out of the
I really like the
elevator lift.
queue of the Marvels, the Guardians of the Galaxy one, but the ride itself I think is better at Disney World.
Although, okay, so you go there, California Adventure has the Web Slingers, which does not exist in Florida.
True.
It's true.
Yeah.
So, and then California Screaming. So, yeah,
I think you mean the Incredicoaster.
California Screaming.
Incredicoaster.
So, Jack, thank you so much, Jack, for that. When my family went to Disneyland, after walking across it, my younger brother asked, "Is that it?" And I'm afraid. Wow.
Well, my dad would make fun of the shack at the end of Main Street at Disneyland since we grew up going to Disney World. So you get a half-size chateau instead of the full castle.
Now, it does kind of remind me, though. My wife, she went to Disneyland with some friends that had taken her, I think family members, actually. And somehow they didn't realize that all of Fantasyland, all the rides that were in there, they thought it was all stores. And they missed a number of things. So when I took the kids with her the first time, and we were going to all of these different rides, and she was like, I had no idea all of this was here. It really blew her away. So I almost kind of wonder, Jack, if that's what happened there, because I'm getting a weird noise here. Oh, my dog's banging on stuff. But Ginger, stop it. So, but there are so many more rides that's actually in Disneyland than there are at Magic Kingdom. There's more than twice as many rides at Disneyland as there are as there is at Magic Kingdom. But it's a smaller park, so it's not as long to get from one side to the other.
There's also on Disneyland, Cars Land has a whole bunch of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
But also there's Bugs Life in Disney World.
It used to be at Disneyland. That's where it
did it?
started.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, because you were terrified of it, sir.
Oh yeah.
And
that's what
Flex
you think.
Flyers lives on, though. It's just been rethemed.
Yeah. So,
And
Mission
Heimlich
Space.
Choo Choo Train liked boysenberry. So
okay. Now, Josh does bring up a good point here.
Jaw.
The Magic Kingdom train station doubles as another castle at Magic Kingdom.
that's true.
Two castles and a bigger castle.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think here's the way I would put it. If you want attractions in one park, Disneyland wins.
Okay.
But if you want overall number of attractions, it's going to take you longer to see them because there are more parks. But Disney World might edge Disneyland. I still kind of prefer Disneyland.
I feel like most of these topics I've had one or the other as like a favorite, but this is one that I actually feel like it's a toss up, like thoroughly.
Yeah,
because there's a lot.
It depends a lot on mood, and I like to go to both because there are pros and cons to both. So I'll go for toss up.
Joel brings up a good point. I like that you don't have to walk far between Disneyland attractions. The walking between attractions in Florida feels like a marathon sometimes.
Yeah.
Yep, because they're huge parks.
Oh, there's also the water parks at Disney. That's a whole bunch of extra attractions.
Yep. Carolyn, so how long do you want to be on vacation? 2 days or a week? And that's actually a good point. Although I would say you can't do Disneyland in a day anymore. But yeah, if you're going 3 or 4 days, that's West Coast, that's Disneyland. If you're wanting 5 to 7 days, that's Disney World.
I usually do 6 nights at either coast.
Yeah.
Because I like taking a full week off from work and immersing myself in a bubble somewhere.
You can do Disneyland in 3 days, but yeah, no, I want 5.
I will say that if Disney Quest still existed, I would unequivocally say Disney World. I miss Disney Quest.
Well, the point about marathons, though, Run Disney only has had a marathon at the World. They've only gone as high as a half at Disneyland. So,
which that brings
has
us
some points.
to the next one is the intangibles, just the other stuff that's there. So, for me, Disneyland is much more intimate, is the word I like. It's Walt's park. You can tell Walt walked there. There's signs of him everywhere and what he wanted in the park. For example, down at the Rivers of America, you've got the wonderful petrified tree that he gave his wife, who she had to be going, what are you giving me this for?
She was petrified at that gift.
Yeah. Just all sorts of small little touches that are there that when they built Disney World, and in fact, I'm reading this wonderful book about building Disney World and stuff right now. They just didn't have the time to get a lot of those in. And Roy at that point was really, let's build this thing and get it done in memory of Walt, but they were pushing so hard. So yeah, it's a very different feel.
I agree, but I think the larger walkways are a lot nicer at Disney World, and but the fact that you need transportation to get from the various hotels is a strike against it in general. Although I do know at least one person who was really excited to finally ride the Skyliner. So, the
I don't know who that
draw.
would be.
And I love me some monorail rides.
Oh, yeah.
So I've said for years I want to retire and become a seasonal employee driving the monorail.
So, okay, one big difference. Walt Disney World's monorail is air conditioned. Disneyland's is not.
Good point.
So,
also, though, what about the various tours that are available?
I haven't had a chance to really do any of the tours at Disneyland. I know they've got the Walk-in Walt Footsteps tour. And there's also a history tour they do.
And they'll have some Halloween themed ones.
Yeah.
Usually.
So at Walt Disney World, you've got the Keys to the Kingdom, which is the one I did. They do have a couple other tours. They've got the tour. I think both coasts have the tour of the train barn. So
I don't think Disneyland does right now. They didn't for a long time because of union rules.
Okay. That's something too that's different because
I don't believe they've ever come up with a counterpart to Magic Behind Our Steam Trains.
Yeah.
So I've done that. I've done Dive Quest 5 times. It's fun playing the fish tank and be on the other side of the glass. Backstage Magic tour.
And Jack mentioned something too, because we were talking about the size of the park. When you go to Disneyland, it feels more crowded at half capacity than the Magic Kingdom or the others do, because you don't have all the space they put in. They designed Disney World to be big parks with lots of room for people to get around.
Think that is my biggest thing. I mean, I have a lot of nostalgia there because, I was growing up there and I had a lot of first time amusement park experiences at World that I will never have anywhere else. But also, they really do, I think, a good job of making it feel like a world. Which is, I think, part of why I like it. Feels like a marathon to get from place to place because it's more spread out. There's more to experience, and so just the traveling from attraction to attraction is in itself like an attraction.
You have definitely the bubble at Disney World. It's one reason I hope they bring back the Magical Express.
Yep.
Because as soon as you get off the plane, you're immediately in the bubble.
Yep.
And the world evaporates versus the shuttle bus. And I appreciate Mears running their stuff, but yes, you're very much immersed into it. And that is a very nice escape advantage they have with all of that land. I knew British families that would tell me they stayed there for a month and still didn't do everything. Can you imagine a month? But
So much.
there's so much. Yeah. We
Like the golfing area and the water parks and the downtown Disney. Goes on and on and on.
So, yeah, there's just a crazy amount of things to do. Whether the resorts, Disney Springs, the water parks, the campground, just all sorts of things. Crazy Mike, Walt Disney World, you need a scooter with 100-mile range and a charge. Yeah, because I killed mine at Studios. It died on a full charge because they're just huge. So I love the intimacy at Disneyland. If I had to pick a park, or if I had like 1 or 2 days, I'd go with Disneyland. But if I'm looking for a longer vacation, there's just so much more at Disney World.
Well, and I think you may have hit on it there. If you want a longer vacation and a chance to take breaks and spread things out, literally and figuratively, I think Disney World's better.
Yeah.
If you want a concentrated experience, especially a shorter one, I'd say you're probably better at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Or
So
just go to both.
this is an interesting
That's
way.
my solution.
Would you consider Walt Disney World as Walts Vision, Roy's Park, and see Disneyland's Walt's Park? Do you see Disney World as Walt's Vision, Roy's Park, just a park that really doesn't have the Disney nostalgia? And it's interesting, like I said, especially when you read about the building of Disney World. Walt, of course, had division, but he was thinking Epcot, an actual city with a park attached to it. And when Walt died, they took some of those ideas for the city and incorporated into the park, but it really shifted to a park focus. And it was, let's put Disneyland on the East Coast, but make it bigger. And so it did lose some of that, but they still wanted that space to be able to do so much more. So a little bit of vision from Walt Disney World, from Walt, but so much of it was built in honor of Walt versus not necessarily what Walt was aiming for, if that makes sense.
I think the one thing that might keep me, I mean, it wouldn't keep me, but it would theoretically might keep me from picking Walt Disney World for Overland for intangible reasons is heat is intangible and it's very hot.
Summer
I've
at
never seen
Disneyland can be
Purell
that.
boil at the World, though.
Yeah, summer at Disneyland can be that, but yeah, the weather tends to be better at Disneyland than Florida. So
Yeah. That was
Take
the
a
one
break during
thing.
the 3:00 shower
Yeah.
and go watch
Yeah.
the 3:00 parade.
So Jack has friends who go to Disney World every year, have yet to stay at all the Walt Disney World resorts. What are they up to? 30 now?
I want to say 33.
Yeah, something
Oh.
like that. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Holy
A lot
moly.
of them. And so, yes, you've got that. Like I said, you could spend a month at Disney World and not see and do everything. Disneyland, you can cover pretty much everything in 3 or 4 days if you push it. So,
And that's the other thing is I like it, Disneyland is better for a concentrated experience, but concentrated experiences are not always better for enjoyment because they can be stressful.
okay, now Joel brings up something good. The merch at Disneyland versus Disney World. There are still unique shops at Disneyland. There's not as many of them, but there are still a few unique shops. Disney World, it's really, the merchandise has gotten very much more generic all across the parks. So you can find some unique things around. Really, if you want unique shopping, it's Epcot at the World Pavilions. But otherwise, I find the gift shops there to be very generic. So, but Caroline, what about prices inside the park? It's all pretty much similar.
Disneyland is usually a little higher
Disneyland's a little higher. Okay.
for food, especially.
So
Merch is usually about the same.
but you
But
do
I
get a
have
droid
seen
bucket.
more limited edition items at Disneyland typically, especially at I think it's the Disneyana shop, just
Mhm.
to the right as you're coming in down Main Street
Oh,
at
they've had some
Disneyland.
neat stuff in there. Neat stuff in there. But okay, so our conclusion then, as we get ready to wrap it up here in
Go to
5
both.
minutes. Like, if I had to pick a short vacation, Disneyland. If I had more time, Disney World. Yeah, go to both.
I'm probably biased because of all the nostalgia from when I was a child.
Well, and you don't
Like-
remember Disneyland as much because
Yeah, I haven't been there nearly as much, so it hasn't had a chance to grow on me quite so much.
Yeah. I love them both. Like I said, if I just had a couple days, I'd very happily go to Disneyland over Disney World. I'd take Disneyland over Magic. I would take Disneyland over any single Disney World park.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
But multiple days, yeah, then I start leaning towards World. So
Yep.
That's fair.
So it depends a lot on what kind of experience you're looking for.
yeah, yep.
And do you want the space? Because that's a pro and a con.
Mhm.
In which case, if you want the space, go to Disneyland in off season. If you want to avoid the crowds, go when school starts. So January, September, right after those times when kids go back to school, that's your time to hit it.
And
and
go
Animal
during
Kingdom.
school hours, because crowds, especially with AP reservations likely changing there, like they have at Disney World, crowds will definitely pick up in the evenings.
Yes. Yeah.
Animal Kingdom is also the one place that will not feel more spacious.
No,
very
Animal Kingdom is the one. It's the one like Disneyland that
Very
you get a
narrow.
half crowd. That park feels crowded. I've never liked that about Animal Kingdom. You really got to get an off crowd day to have space to move in it. So
Yeah.
But otherwise,
So I think that wraps up. Hope y'all have had fun. Yeah, I was shooting for 30 minutes and we're going to hit an hour. So I see
And overtime.
Yeah, I see Abby's talking. Hey, we need to do one about trains. That is kind of on the list. I do also hope to do another one next week. Next week is Genie Plus versus Fast Pass versus nothing. And so I might ask Craig to come back in because he's kind of done both with me, and hopefully we'll have another guest or two who's familiar with both of the systems, and we can talk about all that and have some fun. Thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Joseph, for taking an evening out. It got snowed and iced in, so it kind of killed stuff. But thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys have fun. Let us know your feedback. Share it in the comments. Really appreciate everybody joining in and chiming in. And I hope you all have a wonderful evening. So thanks so much, guys. Have a great night.
bye.
Bye, everybody.